Okay, welcome back to this video. So you successfully created two files in the website design folder, which is the index.html and the index.css, meaning that you are now ready to start creating your website. But before we dive into our project, let's see what HTML tags and elements are, and then how we can use CSS to style each HTML element to present them properly on the web browser. HTML tags are usually represented with angle brackets, and as you can see from the example below, first of all we have the document type tag, which is normally spelled out as doc type with an exclamation mark in front of it. And by the way, this is the only HTML tag with an exclamation mark. So the doc type is a type of tag that tells the web browser that this document type is a HTML document. So that is basically what this tag does. It just tells the web browser that this document you're about to view is a HTML document. So that is the work of the doc type. And next we have the HTML tag. This is the root tag of that page, the HTML page. Whichever page you're creating in HTML format, it always have the root tag, which is the HTML. We also have the head tag. The head tag is another important tag in HTML that contains some important information for the browser, such as the title of the web page, because within the head tag goes the title tag, and as well it carries some other data like the language of the site. As well, for media queries, that is when you're trying to build for responsiveness, the head tag carries all those information for the web browser. So we also have the title tag, which holds the title of your web page. We are going to see that in a moment. And then we have the body tag. Now within the body tag is where you write all whatever you want to write, like where you build your project, the site we are creating, everything goes within the body tags. So when we are building our project or when we are designing our project, all the elements that goes into that project is going to be within the body tag. Then other tag includes the paragraph tag. When you want to write a paragraph, this is the tag you use. We also have the link tag, the heading tag, the image tag, and the break tag. Okay, in order not to bore you with too much of theory, I believe I should begin to show you how these tags are displayed in a text editor. So talking of HTML tags, first of all, you want to write your HTML, and as you can see, it brought out the basic structure of a HTML document. So the good thing about text editors is that they help these things easier for you to write. So instead of me typing doc type and the HTML, the head, the title, the body and all that, it just completed it for me. So that's that. So but like I've said earlier, you see the very first tag here, the doc type. It's usually the first in any HTML document. So you can see it goes first in the first line. And so that's what it means. Document type, for short, doc type, HTML, telling the web browser that this is a HTML document. So treat it as such. Now after the doc type tag, the next is the HTML tag. And you can see this extra feature here. I think we should not need that for this project, but it's just telling us that the default language is English, but we won't be needing that for our project now. Okay, so the next tag is the HTML tag, which is the root tag. And another thing, if you notice, the HTML tag are in two types. We have the opening tag over here and the closing tag over here. And the difference between this opening tag and this closing tag is just the / before the word HTML. So most HTML tags have this opening and closing tags. Just very few of them are self-closing, meaning that they have the opening tag but they don't have a closing tag. We also see the head tag, and like I said, the head tag holds some necessary and important information for the web browser, including the title tag. So the head tag houses the title tag. You can see the indentation over here. But for this project, we'll not be making use of this extra information here. But we'll be making use of this last one, which is going to help us for building the responsive part of our project to make it viewable on mobile device and on tablet device. So we are going to leave this particular metadata. Then next we have the title tag. You can see the title holds the name of the document, which is by default the name is document. So you can write something else. You can say my first website. So this is the title of your project. So if we save this and preview on the web browser, we are going to see our new title, which is my first website. So this is basically for the title. Then the body tag, you can see the body tag opens and then it closes over here. Within this body tag goes our project. This is where we'll be writing and designing our project within the body tag. So that is basically it about HTML tag. So what about HTML elements? What's the difference between a tag and an element? Now, to properly explain what a tag is and what an element is, you can see from the web browser over here that despite the fact we have all these tags written out, but see any of those tags over here. So that is to say the web browser does not display your HTML tag, but rather it uses those tags to render your content on the browser. For instance, if I right click on this browser and say view page source, as you can see, these are our tags, but on the front end we can't see those tags. But they actually exist. So the web browser does not display your HTML tag, but it uses those tags to display the contents, and that's what we call HTML elements. So a tag plus the contents plus the closing tag is referred to as a HTML element. So like for instance, this title tag from the beginning to this place is referred to as an element, but without this content within it is just a tag. So HTML element comprises of the opening tag, the contents, and then the closing tag. Let's take for example the paragraph tag. When we save this and run on the web browser, we're not going to see anything because it's not meant to be displayed. But as soon as we add a content within it, this is a paragraph, and save, is going to display the content on the web browser. Also, let's see another example. Let's try the heading tag. We'll say this is a heading. And save. You see, this is a heading. And by the way, the heading tag are in 6 levels. That is, it ranges from heading 1 through to heading 6, with heading 1 being the largest and heading 6 the smallest. Let's try H6 and say this is heading 6. So you can see it. But what I'm trying to explain here is HTML element. So each HTML tag tells the web browser the kind of content to be displayed. If it's a heading or a paragraph or a link or an image, it tells the browser what content to display, but not for the browser to display the tag. So that's the difference between HTML tag and elements. So I guess you've understood the basics of HTML and CSS, as well as the difference between HTML tag and HTML elements. So now let's see how we can use CSS to begin to style this our website, so to say, into something more beautiful. Now there are 3 ways to write your CSS code. Either inline CSS, that is in line with your HTML tag. Something like, for instance, you have the H1 and we have something like style equals to color, and we gave the color of this H1 blue, for instance, and we'll save it. So this is an example of inline CSS. If you save this on the web browser, it's going to color the heading blue. as you can see. So this is one way to write your CSS, inline CSS. Then the second way you could write your CSS is internally, meaning that your CSS codes will reside on the same page as your HTML documents. Third way to write your CSS code is external, which is what we did here. As you can see, we created a separate file basically to hold all our CSS code just for the CSS. So this is what we call external CSS code. It resides outside the HTML document. This over here is the inline CSS, and let's say, okay, we want to make our CSS code to be on the same page as our HTML document. So all we need to do is add the style tag, which is this, and we're going to give it a type, telling it that is a text/CSS, and then the relationship, which for short is called rel, will be style sheet. So that is that. Within the style tag, the style opening and closing tag goes our CSS code. So this is how to write the internal CSS. You can use an external or internal CSS while also using an inline CSS within your HTML document. But it's totally not reasonable to use an external CSS file together with an internal CSS. So first of all, you've seen how to write an inline CSS. You've also seen how you can write your internal CSS if you want your CSS to be within your HTML documents. But since we are using an external CSS file, which is totally outside this HTML document, how can we link this CSS to our HTML document to style each element on this page? So we are going to use the link tag, which is this, the link tag, and it's brought out the necessary information we need. So the relationship is the same style sheets, CSS cascading style sheets, and href means hyperreference. So it's telling me to put the file I'm trying to reference, and in this case is index.css. So once you've done this, you successfully link your index.css together with this HTML document. And then you can put all your CSS code here, over here. So you can now write all your CSS code over here separately. It makes things tidy and neat, while your HTML document remains on this other side. So now you know the three different ways you can write your CSS code, either the inline CSS, the internal CSS, or the external CSS. The inline CSS is best if you want to quickly style a particular element, but it's not advisable to use inline CSS all through your project, building a whole website. Also, the internal CSS is good if your project is a small project, it's not very lengthy, because we're talking of a style sheet and a HTML document to be in a particular on one page. So think about it, how bulky and clumsy it's going to look like if you have a large project. So, and the internal CSS is good if you are doing something very small. You can write your CSS code within your HTML document. But if your project will be something big, a bit big, like what we'll be doing in this course, it's best to put your CSS file outside your HTML document and link to that CSS file using this tag over here. In the next video, I'll be talking about CSS selectors and syntax that will help you target any HTML elements and style them just the way you want.